So we made another horror game, and it's currently in the top 20 of all itch.io games, which is insane. If you open up the top games page, it's right there. If we do some game dev math, that puts us in the 0.002 percentile. And this is the journey of how we got there. My name is Sandra.
And I'm William.
And together we make up the indie studio Isopoda Studios. Let's go back to the beginning. It all started when we decided that we wanted to make another horror game for Halloween. We were bouncing ideas off of each other, and the thought of making an elevator game came up. We had both seen elevator games being made before, and we both liked the idea of going from floor to floor and each floor being something unexpected and exciting. But we thought that with our game, we wanted the floors to actually, even though they might be very different and surprising, hopefully, that they would still have a story that was cohesive and related to each other. So, when we had decided on making this elevator game, as we used to call it, we got to work. This game was gonna be made in 1 month, as we started pretty much at the end of September. So yeah, that was the time frame that we had to work with. And in the beginning, we had some grand plans of having a lot of rooms. Like in the end, we ended up with 10 rooms, I believe, or 10 events. But in the beginning, we were thinking, oh, let's do like 20, 30, 40 rooms, you know, and we would have multiple sort of overlapping stories. But as the time slowly went on, I think maybe it was just 1 week past, we realized, okay, this is too much. So we had to condense our stories down into one. And even though it wasn't what we planned from the beginning, we feel like we got it down to something that we thought probably, hopefully, would make sense. And this is where I put in the spoiler warning. I'm gonna start talking about the story right now. So if you don't want to know everything, go play the game. It takes around 15 minutes to play. It's free to play. Links down below. To the story. So we wanted this to be a roller coaster ride of an elevator ride, so to say. And our main character is pretty traumatized, to say the least. We wanted all the parts of the elevator ride to pretty much symbolize all the stuff that he's gone through, coming from a broken home, getting bullied, having a horrible workplace, and other things that you'll notice if you play the game. And it's a pretty heavy game, so to say, emotionally. We don't recommend people playing it if they're not in a good headspace. I could even feel it myself while I was playing, that, I'm not feeling too great right now. But that is sort of the effect that we want to have. We want to tell this story and about this happens to people. But in the end, we also wanted to have a sort of a positive spin to say that, it's gonna be alright. That our protagonist, even though he's gone through all of this stuff, he still wants to fight on. He still wants to do the best for himself and his inner child, pretty much. And we're pretty happy with the way it came out. And the more we worked on this, we also noticed that this elevator ride and, if you could say, the loop that he is in somewhat feels a little bit like an in-between. Sort of like a limbo that he is in. And we did do some work on trying to symbolize that as well. And that's that about his traumatic story. And I did pretty much all of the writing for all of the scenes and everything needed for the text messages, for the dialogues, and I had great fun doing that, and also felt pretty bad, to be honest.
So I started out by making the elevator system, which was in charge of unloading and loading new floors. And I also worked on a mission system that would be in charge of handling events that would happen in between each floor, and also when the doors open, if anything should pop up. And then I started working on the player interactions. So that was clicking buttons, opening the fuse box, flipping switches for the minigame, and that was mostly it. And then I worked on the phone, which was just supposed to receive messages, so you can bring it up, look at the messages, and just bring it down. And when all of this was done, I could finally test everything together. And it worked pretty good the first time, so there wasn't a lot of bugs to fix. So I could get started on all the missions. And the missions were basically just going to a new floor, and a timeline would start playing when you enter a trigger, or just when you open the doors a timeline would start playing, or it was just one of those minigame rooms where you had to flip the switches. When this was all done, I got to work on the creature. We wanted this final room to be like a bit more intense and scary, so we came up with the idea of having this as a chase sequence. So I had to create a chase AI for the fetus, and then in the end we had a jump scare if you get caught. There wasn't that many bugs in this project. It was mostly some in the end with the fetus, and it could make you fly out of bounds. So we fixed that by teleporting the player up in the air with the fetus and then just playing the jump scare from there. We also had a game breaking bug in the end, but it only happened if you exited the game and came back in the same session. So without closing down the application, or if you have completed the game and then played it again. And it was a very simple fix. I just had forgotten to clean up some of my stuff in my code. And programming wise, I think that's about it.
When it came to the art, I had a lot more to do this project than the last project, since there was a bunch of rooms to be made. So the first and most important thing was obviously to make the elevator and the buttons, make sure that they could be pressed. There were some problems with that, mainly because if I parented 3 things together, then the transformations wouldn't be applied for Unity. I have no idea why. Maybe it's just a Blender thing, but hey, we made it work another way around. After I got the elevator going, then I had a bunch of rooms to create, and the most important thing was for the rooms to be seamlessly integrated into the elevator, so it doesn't look weird, you know. And we also have a shape-shifting room in our big boss room, and in which when you reach a trigger, the room actually changes its shape. And that was made using blend shapes, so I created the blend shapes in Blender, and that transferred over well into Unity, and it could be used with the trigger. When all of the rooms were ready, then it was time to get to creating props, and it's just so much fun. You know, I love making props. I created chairs and tables, lamps, cans, you know, everything. Just everything. Made a fuse box for the fuse box minigame, made sure the switches were flippable, so to say. There's also, I would say there's plenty of characters in this game, and those are the only thing that I haven't made myself. They are free assets, but all the animations were done by me. Obviously, we only had 1 month to do this, and I had a lot of stuff to do, so I couldn't afford to spend a lot of time on the animations, but considering the time, I'm pretty satisfied with what we ended up with. But there is actually one character that I've spent a lot more time on, and that is the fetus creature, which I designed from scratch and did the animations for as well. And he's just my precious little baby boy. If you have played a tiny little game called Resident Evil Village, you might recognize the inspiration for this character. So this is pretty much a fetus creature, and there was I was a bit worried in the beginning because I did send the design to a couple of people in the beginning and they said, "Oh, he's cute," and I was like, "No, wait." He's not supposed to be cute. But then after I got some texturing done, people were like, "Okay, he's gross," and I was happy. So I would rate my experience with creating this creature a 10 out of 10, pretty much. And since we're only 2 people working on our projects, there's a lot of stuff we need to do together to get the project done and to help each other out, because everyone has a lot of stuff to do. Some of those things are shaders. We got a static shader for the TV and for the parent characters, and then there was a pulsating deformation sort of shader on the intestine in the chase sequence, which was... We had some problems with that shader because in the beginning it kept breaking the mesh apart. It was pretty weird, but we managed to fix it, so that was good. There was also a lot of work on sounds, which is one of the most important thing in a horror game. If you don't have good sound design, or at least decent sound design, I guess, then it won't be scary at all. We recorded a bunch of the sounds ourselves, but some of the sounds are from Freesound. Another thing that was entirely new to us was that we wanted voice acting in this one, and we are not professional voice actors, and we also don't have the funds for professional voice actors, so we did it ourselves! Except for our dear fetus creature, which was voiced by Pigeon Butt here on YouTube and on Twitch as well. We want to say thank you so much for you being part of this. It turned out so good. We're so happy with how the fetus sounds. And then we also had some IRL footage that we recorded of ourselves saying really mean things, which felt kind of bad and kind of fun at the same time, I guess, for the TV section of the game when the parents are sitting in the sofa. And I edited that so we could use that video for the TV. And it came out horrible, which is a good thing.
Your mother is like...
I wonder what my life would have been like without you.
And after we got all our ducks in a row, you know, it was time to release the game. We had made a trailer for the game, everything was ready, we got a nice build, and yeah, we were ready to release the game. The initial release date was 23rd of October, but we actually did a little bit of a soft release on the 22nd. And it started getting some views right off the bat, and we was like, oh, whoa. We just wanted to send the game link to, Pigeon Butt for help, as a thank you for helping out, or to some of our supporters, just as a little treat. But we were like, I guess, yeah. And the first Let's Play was uploaded on the 22nd, and we were like, okay, I mean, I'm not gonna complain about it. Oh my god. And we're not entirely sure what happened from there on out. It pretty much just kept getting views and downloads, and we had reached well over 1,000 downloads and over 40 Let's Play videos on YouTube as we hit the 5-day mark, and this has never happened to us before. It was on the new and popular tag for a bit, but that usually happens. We feel like when you release a game, because it's, it's brand new, so that's exciting. But usually it disappears from there. But suddenly we saw it on, the popular horror tag and stuff like that, and we're like, okay, we're pretty low down, but that's really cool. But then it kept climbing, and then suddenly we're in the top games tag as well, and we're like, okay, this is new. What is happening? And I mean, I guess that's pretty much where we're at right now. It's been about 1.5 weeks since we released LevelHeaded, and we're closing in on 3,000 downloads, and I can't even count the Let's Plays anymore, and we are incredibly grateful, thankful, and just amazed at what's going on, We never thought this would happen to us. But as I said in one of our social media posts, both me and William graduated in 2023 as game devs, and we haven't been able to, get a job in the industry, mostly because the economy is just crazy right now, but also it just doesn't feel like there's no space for juniors because of that as well. And that makes you feel kind of worthless, to the industry that you love and want to work in. So seeing people play our game and give us all these this feedback, and it just feels really nice, and it feels like, maybe we can create something worth playing. Maybe we can create something of value like we want to do, because this is what we love to do. We love making games. And we will continue on to make games and hope that you guys will continue to enjoy. Thank you so much for downloading, for playing, for talking to us, for supporting, for just watching this video. We really appreciate it. We hope you will tune in for our next game that we are already working on. We got some big plans, and we can't wait to show you guys what it's gonna be. Thank you yet again, and see you next time.